Hello, everybody. Ricardo Wilkins here. If you're wondering where you are, you've reached the Copilot Adoption Practices webinar, aka.ms/cap for Copilot. New series we just started through the Teamwork Cowbell label. Um, and to coincide with aka.ms/cute4teams. But again, talking about all things collaboration, and then this one specifically Copilot, tips and tricks on how to use it. And since we're live, feel free to come to these sessions with questions you may have. And so we're live on LinkedIn. If you're viewing, you can use the comment section of the viewing area to put any questions you may have. I think I have access to see those. We'll see. If you are out there and want to say hi, tell me where you're joining from. That'd be cool as well. But that's what this is. A little bit of demonstrating things, but also happy to take questions and try to answer things on the fly if needed. All of this is put online after the fact. So youtube.com/teamwork cowbell has all the teams videos as well as these. You are in session number 2 of this series. So glad that you made it, or glad that you might be watching on demand, either on LinkedIn or on YouTube. So with that said, I try to come with different topics to discuss. Stacy also joins this. She did last week. She couldn't make it today, but she'll be back for future sessions. But we try to come with different topics to discuss. Today, I thought I'd talk about Wave 2, which was announced, or Wave 2 for Copilot, some of the new features and things that were announced last week. Talk through that. Let me do a couple things here. All right. So let me just go to my environment here. Not showing everything. I mean, we don't have too much time together today, but I thought I'd maybe go through a few things here. Very cool stuff coming. In fact, let's take a look here. If you go to the Tech Community Copilot blog, you will, among other things, you'll find a listing for the Wave 2. And so many things here, not all of which I can even demo. Many of them are in preview and things like that. My demo environment doesn't have access to it. So, things like Copilot Pages, this ability, and there's very cool videos and everything if you want to see these things in action. But, this ability to take your output from Copilot and put it in essentially a loop-based container for sharing and collaborating on it, and things like that. Try to skip ahead on this. May have skipped too far. Yeah. So you have a little page on the side. You can put the output. You can collaborate with others, share it, things like that, and continue to go back and forth as you're continuing to work with Copilot content. So that's one of the things that was announced. The other thing that might be exciting for many is Copilot in Excel, which has been there, but it's been preview, and we're now in general availability. So we're ready to rock and roll, as they would say. And in fact, if you haven't seen Copilot in Excel, Copilot is in many of the Office apps, and in all of them, you typically find them up in the ribbon. So you see Copilot there, and then we can start to ask Copilot questions or request it to do things for us in the given spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet here has got just some sample data in it. In fact, I may be able to. So, I've got some sample data here for what looks like paid and unpaid invoices. And so different things you could do, right? It just depends on what you want. So some simple common things, right? If I've got paid and unpaid invoices, I might say something about highlighting or formatting some of this data. And one of the cool things about Copilot and Excel, in my opinion, Copilot or Excel, it can be challenging for some folks. I mean, it's very powerful. It's got a lot it can do and functions and all those things. And so some may find it challenging to leverage all of its capabilities, but to be able to ask it natural language questions to do some of those functions can be useful. So for instance, highlighting things in a table. I mean, you may or may not know that certainly you could change the color of a cell on a table. There's also conditional formatting that'll change based on the values that are in the table. And not everybody knows those things, right? And so then you miss out on some of those features. But let's see if I'm just kind of demo on the fly, see what Copilot can do. Again, just asking it naturally, I would say, in this case of this data, let me click on that table there. I would say highlight the unpaid invoices. All right. So that's my query there. Highlight the unpaid invoices. I don't have to give it a bunch of information. I mean, it knows how to read that table. So put that in, thinks about it, understanding the data. This is usually when I take a sip of coffee. It's finishing up. And did it? There we go. So if where's going on with my cursor here? If I scroll up a bit, I got a little thing going on. It's not showing me much, but so it's saying some stuff about, yes, it'll do it. And it doesn't do it until you hit apply. I don't know why I'm having this little formatting issue, but there's my apply button. And when I hit that, you can see here that it did go ahead and highlight those, right? And on 10 rows of data, you'd be like, I could have done that myself. This was 1,000 rows of data. That would have certainly been a lot more useful to do that automatically. And again, if I'm very confident in conditional formatting and all those kind of things, maybe I could have done that through the ribbon as well. But if I don't really know much about that, it's nice to be able to just ask that in plain English and have that done for me. So, that's one example of, doing some things in Copilot. And hopefully, I'm trying to see what's going on with my formatting here on this window. Let me do this. And there we go. That's a little more helpful. I know that's a little small, but that'll at least let us see what's going on there. And so the other thing about this data, so I have another little interesting query here that I'll copy. I created this earlier. The question of if the interest on these invoices accrues at a rate of 5% per month, what will the invoice amounts be at the end of the year? Right? That's something. If somebody is tracking their customer invoices, that might be a question that they'd have. And again, nice to be able to ask that in natural language instead of being an Excel expert and knowing these formulas. So again, I'm asking a general question. I don't have to tell it anything about the column titles or anything. It understands the info. So we'll fire that up and see what it gives us after it thinks about it. So it's generating some formula column suggestions. And so it's come up with something. So looking at the data, here's a formula column to review. And it's got this this little formula for figuring that out. And apparently it's got the results here as well. I would not have known how to make that formula. I don't even know what power does. So that's useful. And then it's useful that it has done it for me. And so if I scroll down, I can say insert the column. I can hover over it to kind of see what it'll look like, but you'll see, I'll just go ahead and insert it. It's gone ahead and created a amount at year end column. It's done the math with the formula in there. So again, that, I don't know if that was maybe a relatively simple question. I could have gotten a lot more advanced with that question, and it's nice to know that it could have created that formula for me. So those are real simple examples, again, with a very simple, small amount of data there. But in terms of, a wave to announcement, it's just nice to know this is GA, fully baked, ready to go, and worth giving a try if you have a M365, Copilot license and have that embedded in there. I got some other data in here, but yeah, other data in here, but again, that's simple, more simplified example. What was also announced in there, let me go back to that, was Python in Excel. I don't really know much about Python. However, I've seen demos of it, and of course, there's a demo here. But what I've seen suggests you don't need to be a Python expert to be able to leverage the power of Python in Excel. I have, done it a little myself. It generated some cool things. Not being a, big math person, I'm not sure, what was right and wrong, but it looked pretty cool. And you can see on the demo here, it's doing some very advanced analysis of their data. So it kind of depends on the kind of data that you're working with to decide whether, Python and Excel would be good for you. But that is in preview, but was also announced as part of those Wave 2 announcements last week. All right. And then another one, pretty cool. So we know Copilots in PowerPoint can basically create our PowerPoints for us with a little, help, a little info, give it an outline, give it a document, and tell it to create a PowerPoint over that document or that outline, and it does all the work for you. And now it's got some additional features that it calls narrative builder to just give us a more polished UI for doing that. And actually, I can show that as well. Let's go and open up PowerPoint. So I'm opening up a brand new one. You can see right away, I've got the little Copilot button. I've got it here in the ribbon as well. But I got it here too. Create a presentation about, and let's say, I don't know, let's give it a shot. Wave 2 Copilot announcements. I did not do this ahead of time, so I don't really know what it's going to create. Let's see what it does. So it's thinking about it. This is when you go sip your coffee, but you don't get too long because it's pretty much rocking and rolling. So it has gone to the web to get that info about Wave 2 announcements. So for instance, if I was trying to create a presentation for you today about this stuff, I could have let Copilot create it for me. Now, before it really gets to putting slides together, this narrative builder is giving you the outline of what it's going to be putting together. And so you kind of see the full experience, and maybe the industry specific solutions is something I want to maybe start with right after the overview, so I can move that out the way. Maybe I don't want some piece of this, maybe I could delete it. And maybe I want something extra, add a topic about Copilot in Excel. All right, so I want some additional info inserted in there. So it has gone and found that out too, right? So I feel like I'm good now. I've got the announcements and added the Copilot piece. So let me go ahead and create the slides. Again, we still have this opportunity to kind of see it getting built out. It's doing its thing, thinking about it. Might be able to take a slightly larger sip of my coffee at this point. while it's doing its thing. It's like it's adding titles to the slides and all that other AI stuff. I don't know if they'll add a feature at some point to play like elevator music while you wait. That would be cool. And it's still thinking about it. So it came up with the outline pretty quick, but slides, it's doing some work there. I'm tempted to okay, just as I was tempted to stop. Oh, now something did go wrong, of course, because it's a live demo. Of course, something's going to go wrong. So it took me back to here. I'm going to go ahead and try it one more time and just see if that was a little fluke. So it's thinking about it again. I won't wait too long. And it might be stuck. Oh, there we go. Now it's putting some stuff together. It just needed a second chance. Everybody needs a second chance every now and then. All right, so it's put some stuff together. Boom, it's created several slides. Let me go to this view and start to take a look. All right, it's decided, some pictures that it thinks are useful in these different areas. Copilot for Excel's in there. And, I'd have to look at this info to see, just how valuable it is, what I'd need to change. But, there's a layout here, right? There's a start. If I needed to maybe change the look of this, I could certainly use the designer to maybe go do something different, right? Change this and that. And so, but again, the main piece here is just that beginning, right? Creating it from scratch, or even creating something from a file. Maybe if I already had a document about the Wave 2 announcements, I just upload that and let it do its thing. So just a little example there of Copilot in PowerPoint. The other one I was excited about, obviously Copilot is already in Teams. And in Teams, let me open up that. You can go to something like my meeting here, where I have a recap of the meeting. It's got the who spoke and what they talked about in the AI notes and things like that. So it's great. I can have what we call intelligent recap here through Teams Premium. But then I can, of course, use Copilot to ask additional questions about that meeting. But what got announced with the Wave 2 announcements is, in the past, these additional questions would be specific to the transcript of the meeting. But in this case, there is a little bit of chatter in this meeting as well. In the past, that would not have been included. And there's not a lot going on here, but in this case, somebody says, documentation for the new features is still pending, right? The point being, my additional questions about this meeting should include chat as well, which is nice. Without that feature, I would have likely have kind of gone to this interface here and asked a separate question about the chat with the Copilot button, separate from my question about the meeting recap with that Copilot button. So it's nice that Copilot now considers both of those things when it's trying to answer questions for you. So I need a meeting with a more chatty chat experience to really show that. But that's another one I'm excited about. I'm certainly in a lot of meetings with a lot of chat, and it'd be nice to have my recaps include all of that in there. While I'm here, the other thing that are often in those chats streams are people putting links, like this one here, into the chat. And what I used to do with Copilot actually is ask it to list out all the URLs that were shared in chat in a bullet form, so that I know what got shared. I can go check them out later, especially in a technical meeting. people are sharing links to websites. You want to go check them out, read them. They might have a lot of, good technical info. But this shared tab is relatively new, and it is trying to share, or it is showing, among other things that were shown in the chat. I can't remember. It must have been some other demo I was doing that has this in another language, but that is a link that was shared in the chat that is now being encapsulated in the share channel. So imagine lots of people in here sharing lots of links instead of me trying to scrolling through or trying to figure out a way to get at all of those links. The share channel does it for me. So all of these tools are just doing work for me and making my life easier. So good stuff there. And then again, some other things still kind of coming. Prioritize my inbox, which is cool. I don't have that in this demo environment. Agents, another cool thing, which I hope to demo once that rolls out to my demo environment as well. Agents in SharePoint, basically using Copilot to ask questions about a whole site worth of documents, right, built into the SharePoint UI. Also very cool. And then to be able to even ask questions of that chat agent, that Copilot agent in a chat as well. Add that chat to the to a Teams chat and ask it questions there as well. So very cool stuff. If you have, this would be a good site to go to if you really want to catch up on this more in depth. But there's tons of sites out there and videos that show all of this. You see Jared, doing his demos, Satya doing his talk. It's all out there. It's probably linked here in this somewhere as well. So good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. If let me see, check one thing here before I wrap up. Okay. I did get a howdy from the Columbus area. Nice to see you, Michael. But yeah, Copilot Wave 2 announcements. I was also going to just point out that all of these videos, if you go to teamworkcowbell.com, Cap for Copilot is a button right there. And I'm trying to list out all the different episodes that we have. And then same with the Teams stuff, links to the YouTube. I tried to do some stuff to help search for different topics that we've talked about over the years. All of that's out there, including the YouTube channel as well. All right. So good stuff. So hope that was helpful. Again, keep joining weekly or bi-weekly. We're still trying to work out the schedule, but that's why you want to use the aka.ms link to find out when the next one is happening. Most likely weekly, but just in case something happens with schedules, that will let you know when the next session will be. So check that frequently, and yeah, and then hopefully we'll see you on the next one, either the Cap for Copilot or the Q for Teams. I'll be at both. All right. So I hope that was helpful, and you guys have a good rest of your day.